the 8th of April, the US and Iran agreed to a 2-week conditional ceasefire, which included a temporary reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Trump's announcement of the ceasefire agreement came 1.5 hours before the US president's self-imposed deadline to bomb Iran's power plants and bridges. Iran agreed to allow safe passage for ships through the Strait of Hormuz if the US stopped its attacks. This ceasefire comes more than a month after Israel and the US launched attacks on Iran, which led to Iran striking American assets in the Persian Gulf states and targets across Israel. In its response, Iran had effectively blocked the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's busiest oil shipping channels since the war began. About 20% of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas, or LNG, passes through the strait. Oil and gas shipments through the strait have come to a virtual standstill, sending global fuel prices soaring, threatening a global energy crisis. Hormuz is also a crucial route for the export of fertilizer from West Asia, where natural gas is used heavily in production. About 1/3 of the world's fertilizer trade normally passes through the strait, and going in the opposite direction, the strait is a vital channel for imports to West Asia, including food, medicines, and technological supplies. The entire West Asia has been affected by this war, and what's clear is that Iran projects power across West Asia, causing instability with its allies and disrupting trade routes. Iran still seems to have an upper hand. What's working for Iran? How powerful is Iran? Let's find out. Iran, a country steeped in history and tradition, owns a culture that has influenced the world for centuries. Iran is the second largest country in West Asia after Saudi Arabia and the 17th largest in the world, covering approximately 1.65 million square kilometers. Stretching from the Caspian Sea in the north to the Gulf of Oman in the south, Iran's landscape is as varied as its history. At its center lies the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow choke point through which 20% of global oil and gas flows. Scattered along this coastline are several islands that host military outposts, energy hubs, and geopolitical leverage points. Iran's history spans millennia, making it one of the world's most ancient and culturally rich nations. With a population of over 92 million, Iran ranks 17th globally in both geographic size and population. With 9.6 million inhabitants, Tehran has been the capital since 1795 and is the country's largest city. Mashhad in the northeast is Iran's second largest city with 3.4 million people. It is a major religious and cultural center. Isfahan, the third largest city, is home to some 2.3 million people. Isfahan hosts major educational institutions and is a center for textiles, steel, and manufacturing, along with nuclear and aerospace industries. The Isfahan Nuclear Technology Center, a major Iranian atomic facility, is located in the southeast of the city. It houses key uranium conversion facilities. The Isfahan nuclear site was among the 3 targets of US attacks last year in June. Iran is a highly diverse country. Persians make up approximately 61% of the population, while significant minority groups include Azerbaijanis, Kurds, and others such as Lurs, Arabs, Baloch, and Turkic groups. Iran is predominantly Shia Muslim, making up about 90% of the population, while Sunni Muslims and other Muslim sects account for roughly 9%. While Persian is the official national language, many regions across the country speak a variety of other languages.
It has been invented, an occupational regime, but Iran has been here for more than 3,000 years. With regards to the cultural identity, also, Iranians have been through the history, long history, Iran has been a very resilient nation. You know that Iran never been colonized in its history. So it's very important, I think, powerful, resilient civilizational background of Iran that has brought Iranian nation as a nation that has been very successful in countering a lot of foreign pressure on it, to keep its independence, to keep its autonomy, to keep its strategic decision making inside Iran, not be imposed by any colonial power or what we call it now international superpowers.
Iran is one of the world's biggest oil producers. Reportedly, the country holds the world's second largest proven natural gas reserves after Russia and the third largest crude oil reserves, ranking behind Venezuela and Saudi Arabia. Iran contains about 24% of West Asia's and 12% of the world's proven oil reserves, with about 157 billion barrels of proven crude oil. It is the 9th largest oil producer globally and the 4th largest within the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, producing about 3.3 million barrels of crude oil per day. Iran's oil and gas production facilities are concentrated in southwestern provinces, Khuzestan for oil and Bushehr for gas and condensate from South Pars. It exports 90% of its crude via Karg Island for shipping through the narrow Strait of Hormuz. The Iranian Revolution is regarded as one of the most important geopolitical events of the 20th century. It set the template for a new form of politics and ushered in a deeply conservative theocratic state that exists to this day. Before Ayatollah Khomeini, former supreme leader of Iran, transformed the Iranian society, Iran was a very different world. For close to 40 years, Iran was ruled by Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, the Shah of Iran, from 1941 to 1979. Shah led the country through a series of sweeping changes. The autocracy of Shah rule was amplified after the 1953 coup, in which the United States and the United Kingdom helped restore him to power. After a 2-year standoff with the parliament forced him to flee. Mohammad Reza imposed aggressive economic development policies, including the modernization program known as the White Revolution. The program included land reform, nationalization of forests, sale of state-owned enterprises to the private sector, a profit-sharing plan for industrial workers, and the formation of a literacy corps to eradicate illiteracy in rural areas. The White Revolution also granted Iranian women the right to vote, increased women's minimum legal marriage age to 18, and improved women's legal rights in divorce and child custody matters. All these reforms were opposed by Iran's clergy, in particular Ayatollah Khomeini. Opposing the Shah and the White Revolution, Khomeini led the 1963 uprising. Khomeini's activities eventually led to his exile to Iraq in 1964. Widespread dissatisfaction among the lower classes, merchants and students led to the growth of support for Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, who was living in exile in Paris. The program overturned the traditional power structures in the country, heightening tensions that led to Mohammad Reza's downfall. On January 16, 1979, the Shah left the country and Khomeini assumed control. Ayatollah Khomeini emerged as the supreme leader of Iran. With religious sentiment high, Khomeini consolidated his authority and implemented changes to transform Iran into a religious state. In November 1979, the United States imposed its first sanctions on Iran, justified by the seizure of American hostages held at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. Under Khomeini's rule, Iranian women were denied equal rights and required to wear a veil. Western culture was banned, and traditional Islamic laws were reinstated. Numerous political dissidents were executed during this period of rule. After the Ayatollah Khomeini died in 1989, his successor, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was chosen by the Assembly of Experts the next day. Gradual democratization began in Iran in the early 1990s, culminating in a free election in 1997. Khamenei established the system of rule by the Shiite Muslim clerics. Khamenei built the paramilitary Revolutionary Guard into the dominant force in Iran's military and internal politics. Its international arm, the Quds Force, pieced together the axis of resistance, the collection of pro-Iranian proxies stretching from Yemen to Lebanon, that for years gave Iran considerable power across the region. Following the Iranian Revolution, the United States has since 1979 applied various economic, trade and military sanctions against Iran. Let's take a look at some of them. Between 1995 and 1996, the US imposed more sanctions. Then President Bill Clinton ordered US companies to be banned from dealing with Iran. And all this while Congress passed a law penalizing foreign entities investing in the country's energy sector or selling any advanced weapons to Iran, citing nuclear advancement and the support of proxy groups like Hezbollah and Hamas. In the 2000s, both the US and the United Nations placed new sanctions on Iran targeting its financial institutions, oil exports and technology, trade, again citing its nuclear program. After, Iran agreed to limit its nuclear activities. In 2015, an agreement between Iran and the P5+1 countries, which included the US, UK, France, China, Russia and Germany, was signed in exchange for sanctions relief. However, US President Donald Trump in his first term reimposed strict sanctions on Iran's oil exports, banking system and shipping sector. His administration also added new sanctions in 2020 to block Iran's nuclear missiles and weapons programs. Even in 2025, sanctions continued against individuals and companies involved in Iran's oil trade and nuclear activities. Last year, in April, the US Treasury Department issued new sanctions targeting Iran's nuclear program, just before the Oman talks. 5 entities and 1 person based in Iran are cited in the new sanctions for their support of Iran's nuclear program. Iran's nominal gross domestic product is estimated at approximately $356.5 billion to $436.9 billion in 2025-26, signaling a constrained economy. But years of insecurity and repeated sanctions by the West have also paved the way for Iran to become self-reliant across the board. According to the World Bank open data, Iran's literacy rate is estimated at 85 to 90%, and its per capita income is about $3,900 to $4,500 per year, while its per capita GDP is around $20,000. Iran has focused on developing indigenous technology and weapons, making itself self-reliant in defense as well, particularly in developing drones and UAVs, or unmanned aerial vehicles. According to the Iranian state media, Iran has also achieved a historic milestone by joining the exclusive group of just 9 nations capable of independently launching objects into space. Despite decades of international sanctions, Iran has emerged as a powerful player in West Asia. Following the 1979 Islamic Revolution, the country prioritized self-sufficiency in critical sectors, channeling investments into building parallel systems and indigenous innovation. Iran has a powerful military. According to the 2026 Global Firepower Report, Iran is ranked 16th out of 145 countries reviewed, placing it within the top 20 global military powers. The International Institute for Strategic Studies notes that the Iranian armed forces are among the largest in West Asia, with at least 580,000 active duty personnel and about 200,000 trained reserve personnel, divided among the traditional army and the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps. Iran's military power is often described as complex, but behind the complexity lies a design that's deliberate. The nation operates parallel armies, multiple intelligence services, and command structures, all answering to the supreme leader. The parallel armies comprise the Artesh, or Iran's regular army, which is responsible for territorial defense, airspace and conventional warfare, and the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, or IRGC, whose role goes beyond defense and includes protecting Iran's political structure. The IRGC also controls Iran's airspace and drone arsenal, which has become the backbone of Iran's deterrence strategy against attacks from Israel and the US. The IRGC also commands the Basij religious militia, a volunteer paramilitary force loyal to the establishment, which is often used to crack down on anti-government protests. The Guards also operate the Quds Force. It is an elite unit in charge of arming, training, and supporting the network of proxy militias throughout West Asia, better known as the Axis of Resistance. These militias include Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, militia groups in Syria and Iraq, and Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Gaza. Apart from the manpower, Iran also has a vast arsenal of airplanes, long-range missiles, drones, and air defenses. Tehran has one of the largest arsenals of ballistic missiles and drones in West Asia. That includes cruise missiles and anti-ship missiles, as well as ballistic missiles with ranges up to 2,000 kilometers. These have the capacity and range to hit any target in West Asia, including Israel. This includes the Sejil, which has a range of over 2,000 kilometers, as well as the Khaibar, boasting a range of 1,494 kilometers. When it comes to land power, Iran boasts of having 1,713 tanks, as well as 1,517 rocket projectors. For the sea power, Tehran has built a large fleet of speedboats and some small submarines that are capable of disrupting shipping traffic that pass through the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. Reportedly, Iran does not yet have a nuclear weapon. However, it has been accused of engaging in secret nuclear weapons research in violation of its international commitments. International assessments, including by the US intelligence community, say that Iran's nuclear program isn't currently weaponized. Tehran has also repeatedly insisted that it isn't building a bomb. Iran has spent decades developing its nuclear program and maintains the program is solely for energy purposes. Iran plans to build additional nuclear power plants to meet domestic energy needs and free up more oil for export. Nuclear plants require a fuel called uranium. Tehran has used its stockpile of weapons-graded uranium as a bargaining chip in talks with the United States, repeatedly saying it would get rid of it if US-led sanctions are lifted. Fearing the worst, in June last year, the US targeted critical nuclear and military infrastructure across Iran, including Natanz, the country's main nuclear enrichment site. Washington also targeted Fordow, an Iranian uranium enrichment facility, and Isfahan, the country's largest atomic scientific center. Iran's strengths are concentrated in high-impact and strategic fields such as nanotechnology, biotechnology and pharmaceuticals, nuclear technology, aerospace and space programs, AI, and emerging technology. At the core of Iran's science and technology progress is a strong emphasis on education and human resources. Iran has high literacy rates, approximately 93 to 94% for adults, with 97% literacy for those between 15 and 24 years of age. Female literacy is of the order of 85%.
The Iranian people have a genius for engineering. A lot of countries have, laborers, skilled laborers, lathe operators, welders, things like that. A lot of countries have scientists, but engineering, where you get the two of them together and you build it, that's really an art. And the Iranians are artisans at it. I think what it's done is it's forced them into making hard choices. They've had to make sacrifices in order to basically threaten their neighbors. And so, if they had applied this genius to, say, building cars, everybody from Istanbul to Vietnam would be driving an Iranian-manufactured electronic car.
Iran has developed an increasingly significant cyber ecosystem composed of government intelligence agencies and military cyber units. On the 11th of March 2026, an Iran-linked group calling itself Handala claimed responsibility for a cyber attack on Portage, Michigan-based medical device maker Stryker Corp. Handala said the attack was in retaliation for events related to the Iran war. The cyber attack disrupted the company's order processing, manufacturing, and shipping procedures. The Stryker case is noteworthy because it shows how quickly a regional conflict translates into disruptions far from the battlefield. On the 7th of April, the US warned of Iran-affiliated cyber attacks on critical infrastructure across the country. It said municipalities should watch out for unusual activity, especially in water and energy sectors.
I won't see Iranian ambition to be a political or military hegemonic power in the region. Iran is simply just looking for protecting its sovereignty, territorial integrity, and national security. So in that regard, Iran has all rights to implement all the powers that he has to protect its rights. But what is happening now on the ground, it's a clear counterbalance of the power. In one side, there is two nuclear powers. One is the most important and powerful superpower of the world, with another, the most genocidal and expansionist, revisionist regime of the world. So both together, they have imposed an unprovoked war on Iran. But Iran has resisted very well in last almost 40 days.
Iran's parallel systems and capabilities are a testament to resilience. It is a nation that has built advanced competencies through strategic investment in research and development, education, and futuristic policies. These achievements have positioned Iran as a regional powerhouse with global relevance. When confronted with military strikes from both Israel and the United States, Iran did not fracture and crumble. It rather held its ground and responded with calculated force. The question is no longer whether Iran can endure. It is whether a more assertive Iran will reshape the politics of West Asia, or whether in reality it already has.